Hello, welcome to another episode of the Truish Hoops podcast. I'm joined once again by the great James Boisits.
Thank you. I'm not that great, but I appreciate it. The playoffs are here, every regular season it's crazy. I always am like, oh my God, the regular season went by so quickly.
Mhm.
As for a lot of people, it doesn't matter, but we'll get into it. But we'll
Of
get to the playoffs. We'll start.
course.
So the games tonight are Charlotte and Miami, and the other game. What is the other game? It's
Suns Blazers.
Suns Blazers. Okay, thank you for that. So yeah, we are taping this at around 3 o'clock on Tuesday. So whatever this gets out, you might know the end of that game already, but we'll give our picks now. What do you got for tonight's games? Or who do you got coming out of the play-in, I should say? Who are the two teams you got? Seven, eight, whatever.
So in the East, I have Philly and I have Charlotte.
Boom, I have those two. We can talk about that together. But yeah, give me your reasons.
Charlotte, it's for, we've been hearing about this team all 2026. They've been really hot, obviously. The second they got this starting lineup together, LaMelo's missing time early in the season, Brandon Miller's missed time. Second they got them all together, it seemed like everything clicked. They're a high, potent offensive team. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league since the start of the new year. And Miami has kind of been on a up and down roller coaster. They started the season pretty good, really good offense, decent defense. They're been a bottom 10 defensive team for the past 2 months. Offense is still good, so I expect a high scoring game, back and forth action. Uh, but the Charlotte Hornets have just been so hot. They've been beating good teams, not like, just playing some playing teams and stuff like that. This is a real run, a team that's kind of come together behind LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. I just like them a lot better than Miami, especially with Charlotte playing at home.
Yeah, so yeah, it would be so disappointing to me. The play-in was made for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yes.
I think we could say that. And I'm not meaning like, oh, Charlotte loves to make the play-in. I mean, like, they've been so sensational in the second half of the season. And the fact that this team may not make the playoffs, or they were finished, I think they were a 9 seed, right? So, like,
Mhm.
in the old traditional way, they wouldn't have made the playoffs. And that would have been really disappointing because I don't think any of the top two teams want to play them. But this plan, this is meant for the Charlotte Hornets. So give me them over Miami. You obviously have to take Miami seriously. And I think if Charlotte, like let's say if Charlotte, I don't think Charlotte cares who they play, but I'm sure like they would have rather played anybody else than Miami because Miami's just annoying.
Mhm.
And Miami loves the play-in as well. Like they love to play well in the play-in and show up. I mean, they obviously made the finals as a play-in team, so they take it really seriously. But let me just give me Charlotte here. Like I said, they basically, I think they're tied for the most wins in the East since the new year.
They're
I could be
33 and
wrong.
16 since
Yeah,
the new year.
yeah, that's pretty sensational. I don't know if that's the best. It might be. I have no idea. But it's one of the best, we could say.
Mhm.
So, yeah, give me Charlotte. And then I'm with you. I also have Philly, and I think it's mainly because we just don't like Orlando.
I thoroughly dislike this Orlando Magic team.
Yeah.
Obviously, half jokingly, they lost to the Maine Celtics the last day of the season.
Yeah.
Celtics played G League team and the Magic lost with their
Well,
starters.
hold on a second. I know the real reason why you don't like this Orlando team. It's because your team doesn't have a player like Apollo Banchero.
Oh, of course. A inefficient mid-range shooter who doesn't use his size to get to the rim.
That aged well, Kenny Smith.
I'll never forget.
Yep.
Um, but seriously, I mean, the expectations for the Magic this year was they were going to be one of the better Eastern Conference teams, and getting Desmond Bain, sending all those picks to the Grizzlies, you would think that would help their offense and their shooting, and it really hasn't. They've still been one of the worst shooting teams and one of the poor offensive teams. I have a list here of teams that shoot better from the field than the Magic
Okay. I'm
over
sure
the
it's a
course of the
lot.
entire season.
Okay.
No, it's a longer list, but just some of the teams above them: the Pelicans, the Wizards, the Mavericks, the
The
Kings,
Wizards.
the
Oh my
Jazz,
God.
and the Bulls. All teams that are watching the playoffs from home shoot better from the field than the Magic.
Yeah, that was always the problem with this Magic team, even when they were good, is just offensively they're so impaired. And I think you had to blame the front office. And I remember one of those things was like, I think the Orlando Magic front office was too in love with the young players on this roster, even though they didn't really fit that great. The Bane trade made a lot of sense. They gave up a lot for Desmond Bane, man, a lot for Desmond Bane, and it hasn't really worked out so far, at least. But I think what they're really I don't think it's over for them or anything like that, but they're like the Grizz like as a Brooklyn Nets fan speaking, like they're my nightmare of like what a rebuild can turn into. Them and like
Mhm.
the Grizzlies, for example, where they look like, oh, there's a lot of promise there, but then the coach that you thought was good looks like he's not the right fit for the job, and that's very concerning to me. I think it's definitely possible they could get out of the play-in. They're going to have two opportunities
Yeah.
here. They were a six seed, right? Until recently. So it's like they could get out. It's just I think they left such a bad taste in our mouths to end the year that we just have more confidence in say a Philadelphia 76er team that isn't going to have Joel Embiid. But I still think they could beat Orlando, and I think Charlotte is just obviously just better than Orlando has been in the second half of the season. But Orlando was like a team that could have gave some teams headaches, but I see them going out in five, even if they do get out of this, maybe even swept.
Yeah, and to be fair, the Magic last season as well as this season have spent a lot of time with either one of Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner hurt, and that's been tough. And I know Mo Wagner, I think, missed most of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
He's kind of a integral part to what they do, but just not seeing the improvement from last year to this year at all, and then seeing the conflict, for lack of a better term, between Jamal Mosley and Paolo Banchero, and
Yeah.
just the struggles that this team went through all throughout the season. They had stretches where they looked like they were getting it together, and then they'd go back to, losing to teams that they just shouldn't. And to be fair, I don't love Philadelphia either. They've kind of been a roller coaster all year as well, for the same reasons. Joel Embiid, obviously, he's been in and out. He's going to miss this, unfortunately, with appendectomy, which is just, I mean, unlucky. I mean, I would say for him, he has found himself compromised physically this time of year, it seems, every year. But for
Hmm.
this, not necessarily a physical injury. Um, and we'll
You
see
know
how
who
long that, keeps him out. Go ahead.
you know who would love to coach this team? Tom Thibodeau.
I
Be a
think he
great
would,
fit.
100%. And
And
the
my only
Magic.
concern with that would be just like how he gets along with Paolo. But it seems like Tibbs gets along with guys. Like it's like I don't think anybody disliked playing for Tibbs except for maybe Mikal Bridges and Andrew Wiggins, and I still don't know if Towns disliked playing for him. I don't think he did, but I don't
I don't
know.
think so.
I don't think he disliked it, right? Towns had good years under Tibbs, so it's like
Yeah, he had a better year last year
I mean, Tibbs
statistically than this
wanted
year.
him. Clearly, it seemed like a little bit. He was open-minded to it. So it seems like there's only like a handful of players that dislike playing for Tibbs. So, but I mean, we're gonna have to find out if Paolo is a coachable guy or if he's just like a 6'10" Trae Young. I don't. We're gonna find out. But I don't want to
This is
spend
still a
too
very
much on
young
this.
team.
But
This is still a very
yeah,
young
it is a
team.
young team,
Yeah.
so they have outs. Obviously, I just think the coach is not the fit. I think it's a big part of that. But so yeah, just the West playing. I got the Blazers and Suns coming out of this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
Suns
mean, actually,
Blazers.
actually, I have the Suns and the Clippers.
See, I almost went with the Clippers. I almost went with the Clippers, but then I was like, hmm, give me the two teams that play hard and are going to give a shit about this playing game. And I think they're going. So even though like the Clippers, like to me, playoff experience is so overrated. Like I think if you get two teams that play really hard, and in Portland's case, whoever wins Portland Phoenix, they're gonna have two opportunities here
Mhm.
to win. And I think if they just play really hard and give a crap and play like they've played in the regular season, they're gonna find a way to both be the seven and eighth seeds here. But I was thinking the Clippers, and as far as Golden State goes, I mean they never win in the play-in.
Yeah, this is
Everyone always takes them in the play-in because of Steph Curry and playoff experience and championships. They don't give a crap about the play-in. They always lose in the play-in. They lost to Sacramento a couple years ago in the play-in. Like, it's just the way it is. So I just think it's and honestly, dude, like we know, like I don't know if I'm gonna get. Would you be shocked if Golden State got the number one pick in the draft lottery this year? I mean, would you
oh
be
my
shocked?
God.
Would you be shocked?
No, I wouldn't be
No,
shocked
you
because
wouldn't be
of
shocked.
what
I
we've
mean, I
seen,
listen.
but
I know people don't want to think it's rigged and stuff. I get it, but let's just say the most rigged lottery is if Golden State gets the number
that'd
one
be
pick.
insane.
That'd be very insane.
I
And I'm
mean,
someone who doesn't even like need the number one pick. I'm just saying like that would be really frustrating.
you could
But
really
yeah,
lose the
just
number one pick.
give 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 your Clippers thoughts.
Yeah, the Clippers, I mean, what an incredible turnaround, right? For the season, similar to what we see with
True.
Charlotte.
True, I thought of that.
Clippers were 6-21 in their to start the season. And since then, they've gone 36-19. I mean, they've been one of the better teams in the league. Kawhi statistically has had one of the best years of his career.
Yeah.
And I
Would be a
like,
fun series too, Thunder Clippers, with
yeah,
obviously the history
yeah,
between
yeah,
those two.
yeah, that definitely would be. And I think Kawhi's gonna care for this game. He hasn't found himself healthy in the
Hmm.
playoffs very often the past, decade or so.
Yeah.
And I think that the Clippers' defensive grit, I think it's going to come through if they, depending on who they play. I think the Suns are going to win tonight. I just like the Suns better than the Blazers. Blazers, bad shooting team. Not a fan of bad shooting teams in playoff settings. How are you going to create your offense? Um, and I like Devin Booker. I believe Jalen Green's going to play. Dylan Brooks, they've been so good this year, better than I think anyone really expected them to. I did not
Hmm.
expect the Suns to be a playoff team and to
Yeah.
win 45 games after the upheaval that they've gone through the past few seasons, going
Hmm.
from a finals team to Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and they've
Yeah.
kind of flipped it around. We'll see, what Matt Ashbia does with this team and how they move forward.
Jordan Ott nailed the Jordan Ott hire. I was always a
That too,
big
yeah.
fan of Jordan Ott because he was on Kenny's staff with the Nets. It's why I'm giving them a game in their series. What I think it's going to be versus the Spurs. Just sneak peek ahead. I think I'm going to give them a
Mhm.
game because I just think this Suns team reminds me of a better version of like that Nets team versus Philly in that series. They were able to get a game. They just play really hard. Let's get to what really matters because I think all these teams are losing in the first round.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
let's get to each matchup. I think we should start with the West, and then we can make our way over to the East. Unless, of course, you want to talk about your Knicks first.
Oh no, we can get those 1-8, 2-7 matchups. 'Cause, I mean, like you said, I don't think any of these. The Thunder and Spurs definitely are not.
Mm.
Uh, it would shock
Yeah.
me if the Pistons were to lose in the first round. The same thing with the Celtics, obviously.
So let's talk about Thunder Blazers. For me, for you, it's Thunder Clippers. I have the Thunder
Mhm.
sweeping. There's usually one sweep. There's like 1 to 3 sweeps that happen. I think the league is too talented to make it 3 sweeps or maybe even 2 sweeps. So I have one sweep here out of all my series and Thunder Blazers. Listen, Blazers. The Blazers had every excuse to be bad this year with everything that had gone on
Yeah,
preseason. They
yeah, for
lost their
sure.
coach. I thought Chauncey Billups was an overrated coach anyway. So, I didn't even know if he was even good.
It's hard to remember that
So
happened at the beginning of the year. That he got
my
arrested for
boy,
gambling.
my boy Tiago Splitter
Hmm.
has
Yeah.
been killing it. So give me the Thunder though sweeping. Nice story for the Blazers. I did not expect them to be here, so good for them. But I think for you, it's Thunder Clippers. What do you got?
I also have the Thunder sweeping, like as good as the Clippers have shown.
Yeah.
The Blazers actually did beat the Thunder at one point in the season. I think early on when they were still
Yeah.
like 24-1 or something like that, 24 and
Yeah.
2. But Clippers good, but the Thunder have just been so dominant all year, and it's just hard to vision them losing one of these games,
Mhm.
barring injury or anything like that to one of these teams. So I have the Thunder sweeping.
So we both have Spurs Suns, right? I assume.
Yep.
Yeah, so Spurs Suns, I got Spurs in 5 here. The Spurs are a classic 2 seed, but I think they're going to continue to be better. But I think a lot of the times these young, too early, too good teams,
Yeah.
they always end up like a 2 seed. Like the Thunder a few years ago. were a 2 seed. The Grizzlies forever were a 2 seed. It felt like, in fact, that's all you heard. It's like, oh, they're a 2 seed. You got to take them seriously.
Yeah.
And then Houston last year, 2 seed. Like it's like and they're always in the West too. So like the Spurs are that team this year. I don't think the Spurs are quite ready yet to take that finals leap, but I am taking them obviously very seriously because of how they played this season and also how they played against specifically Oklahoma City. I do think, and the Suns have, I think they split the season series between the two. Those were early on in the season, though, I think when the Suns got their victories. So the Spurs are just better. But I think the Suns play hard. They're going to make a couple games interesting. And so, yeah, give me the Spurs in this series. Give me Spurs in five.
Yeah, and the Spurs have been, I think, the hottest team over the past like 30 or so games. They've
Yeah.
didn't really any losses. Um, Interesting loss for them at the end of the season to Denver, which kind of puts them on the other side of the bracket of the Thunder. So they're going to have to go through Denver. Uh, and the Thunder if they want to get to the finals, which I think hurts their chances to get to the finals. But
Hmm.
I also have Spurs in five against Phoenix. I think Phoenix will probably get one at home. A game where some maybe those guards struggle with the ball pressure that they're going to face
Yeah.
from the Dylan Brooks types and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I have the same Spurs in five.
It wouldn't shock me also if like the Suns won game one and then the Spurs then just
Yeah,
gentlemen swept after that. Wouldn't shock me,
you see
especially
stuff like
because
that.
yeah, especially because like Phoenix like has already played, would have already played in the play-in, and then again just can catch a team off guard, especially a young and experienced Spurs team that isn't used to the playoffs. So I mean, historically they're used to the playoffs, but the team currently is not.
Right. Yeah.
So
First playoff game for a lot of the
exactly.
guys. Yeah.
So next we got Nuggets Wolves.
Oof.
This is probably the best, not probably, it's the best series
Yeah.
of the Western Conference, and it might be the best series in the entire first round. I think we could maybe say that, right? Because obviously these two teams have a history in the postseason.
I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the best
and
series of the first round.
Minnesota and Denver seemed like something that could have been a weaker series earlier in the year, but Minnesota has gotten a couple wins since then. And so let's just say I got Denver in six. Um, I think Denver made a lot of moves. I think Denver's better than last year. And last year they, with basically winging it with the coaching, obviously
Yeah,
getting rid of
right.
Mike Malone, push Oklahoma City to 7 games. I think this Denver team is just better. And I know, well, obviously last year they had Michael Porter Jr. This year they had Cam Johnson. Michael Porter Jr. I think was dealing with injuries though. Cam Johnson is playing better heading into this postseason, which is good for them, obviously. Wouldn't I don't trust Cam Johnson for a second in a big game to make a big shot, but he is obviously good. But yeah, give me. I think Minnesota's a little worse than last year, and I think Denver's better than last year. And Denver, yeah, just give me Denver in six.
Yeah, I have Denver in seven.
Okay.
This is just two teams that have played each other a bunch, like
Yeah.
going back into the playoffs, and they've played incredible games this year as well. We had an
Hmm.
overtime game on Christmas night. Um, Minnesota's been a weird team, a team that, has beaten the Thunder, but then a team that'll lose to the Nets. So it's
Yeah.
like they're really a weird
Little
team.
shot at me there, but that's cool.
I was because that was just the one game I remember so vividly. Because I was like, oh, Minnesota must have not played guys, right? And I see Anthony Edwards and I'm seeing Rudy Gobert.
Cam Thomas, I think had 32 in like 25 minutes or something,
Yeah.
and
So
now he can't get on a team. It's so weird. That's
yeah,
another discussion, but
yeah.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, this is very exciting matchup, obviously. Denver, I agree with you. I think they've been better this year. They're the best offensive team in the league. Them and the Thunder are two best offensive teams. That defense does scare me though, how poor it's been, especially the latter half of the year. And I
Yeah.
know they've dealt with injuries to Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson, who still isn't back.
He's
Um,
important to them, Peyton Watson. So
yes. And
it's
so I do fear with them in this series. That's why I think it's going to go the distance. Because I think Minnesota's really going to get up to this game, and I think Anthony Edwards is going to show out. barring he isn't still plagued by whatever injury he was dealing with over the past few weeks that kept him
Yeah.
out. He's back now. So Denver's struggles on defense, I think, will keep this series long. Though
Yeah.
Denver won this, I think the season series 3-1. I think they won.
Yeah.
But I think in this playoff environment, it's going to go back and forth, and I have Denver winning just because they got the best player in Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, also like, listen, I have them winning in six. So that's a lengthy series. And it's also like I don't have a series going to a seventh game in the first round. So perhaps I probably should have had them in seven because there's usually at least one
Mhm.
series that goes to seven games. So Dan, you might be right on that one, but I think we both think Denver's better and moving on. Yeah. So next, this is the easily the most frustrating series because I think this series could have been really good. But
Yeah.
Lakers Rockets. If LA was healthy, I would have them winning the series. And I don't even love my pick. I have Rockets in five. Because right now it's basically just LeBron and a bunch of guys, an old LeBron and a bunch of guys.
Mhm.
And I assume Reeves or Luca will probably try to play in the series at some point, but not early on. And I don't feel great about Houston because like Houston to me just hasn't earned the respect to take them in a 5 game series against a team that's been good in the regular season. But I'm taking them in five because they
Yeah.
have finished the year somewhat strong. And I think they finished 7-3 in their last 10 games. So, you know, there's I'm taking them in five, but I have them getting smoked in the second round. So that's everything you need to,
Mhm.
to know about
Yeah.
how I feel about Houston. The lack of a point guard, they've been strange all year. A lot of Rockets fans and media members are really upset with how Ime Udoka has coached this team. I don't know how 100% I feel about that. I think it's really hard for a coach to run stuff when there's not really a point guard on the team, And also, like KD, man, like the KD stuff is real. I don't care what anybody says. KD and the tweets and the All-Star game and all of that, there's no question that has affected the team a little bit. I think it's safe to say KD isn't the greatest leader.
I mean, you could you could have said that at any point in the past.
I mean, listen, man, he could say these things. I lead by example. He can
Yeah.
yell at people who call him a bad leader, but I'm sorry, man, you're trashing, you're caught possibly the KD files, as people call it.
Okay.
You
That's
know,
good. Katie
come on,
Fox.
man. Like, there's enough out there, and then he's hopping. He obviously it didn't work with the with he wanted out of Golden State, didn't work with the Nets, wasn't afraid to leave that. After that mess. And then he leaves Phoenix, leaves them in a mess. They get better without him. It's concerning. And Houston gets worse with him. It's like it sucks, man. But yeah, give me Houston in five. I don't feel great about it, but that's just because the Lakers are dealing with too many injuries. And let's just say if Houston wins in six, I think that looks really bad for Houston.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
You know?
Uh, as someone that I thought Houston was going to be very good this year.
Yeah, me too. I thought they would be very good too.
They swap out Jalen Green and add Kevin Durant. I'm like, all right. They ended up winning the same amount of games they won last year.
Now, to be fair, I do think the lack of a point guard is a huge reason why they're
Yeah,
not
that
as good
was
as last year. It's not all Durant. Durant is still great. Durant, uh, they are a better team with Durant playing. I do think, but it is concerning. Like if
yeah.
Durant's not playing on this team, they don't play better without him. It's
And then
that's the
there's the
thing.
chemistry worry, between him and Sengun. We've seen
Yeah.
the stuff throughout the season.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm with you. I have Houston in five, simply because of, how devastated the Lakers got. In one game, they lose Reeves and Luka Doncic, 2 weeks
Yeah, it
before the
sucks.
playoffs. It's unfortunate for a Laker team that, had their rough stretches themselves and, had to figure out how to make these three guys work.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, Houston should win easily. The talent disparity is large. If it does go more than five, it looks really bad on the Rockets.
Yeah.
And the longer this series goes, the higher chance you get of, I think, Luka more so than Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves' injury is a little worse
Yeah.
in terms of the recovery time. Luka is getting reevaluated, I think, to sometime this week when he comes back from his European trip. If you get Luka back in this series, say game 4 or 5, then you're looking at, whatever condition he's in, you're looking at something that becomes harder than it should be if you're the
Yeah.
Rockets. Uh,
If I'm the Lakers, not to cut you off, but if I'm the Lakers and I'm JJ Redick, I'm thinking like we just gotta win one of these games with it where it's just LeBron. Like we
yeah,
need LeBron to like turn it up for one game
yeah,
to have a shot in this series. Because if you're down 3-1 and then Luca comes back or Reeves comes back to help, and this Houston team is not this dominant Houston team. This Houston team could be very fragile and blow leads. So we've seen it in the regular season. It's they got to win one game with LeBron,
yeah,
and
and
then
the
it's a
Lake and the
series.
Lakers start this series at home because they've been winning
Exactly.
all 3 years.
So if you could split, just get one of these at home, huge for them.
Yep,
You know.
that's what I expect. I think we'll see one final
hmm
vintage LeBron playoff performance, and
Exactly. He's
it'll
got
be
it in
fun to
him.
watch. Yeah.
He's got it in him. So, yeah, that's interesting. All right. So we'll start with Pistons Hornets, which I actually think this is assuming I think the Pistons are sweeping any team that comes out of the play-in except for the Hornets. And I think I would take the Pistons in 6 if that were to happen.
Giving
So
Charlotte 2 games.
I'm giving Charlotte that much. Dude, they play. I love how they play. I
Yeah.
love how they play. It was so disappointing to me at the beginning of the year because I obviously saw them play my Nets and they just looked so good in that game. Like I know my Nets stink and stuff, but like they looked so impressive. Like they just shot the lights out. I loved how they played. They moved the ball. They were so exciting. They ran, they were fast, and they had athletes on the team. And they reminded me a lot actually of how the Kings used to play a couple years ago with Fox and
Mm,
Sabonis.
like
But
lean.
like obviously just way more 3-point shooting
Yeah.
and just like I love Khan, LaMelo for every 4 or 5 stupid little like decisions he makes. I've always been a defender of LaMelo Ball being a guy who affects winning because you saw it his rookie year, the team was like I think as good as a 4 seed at one point, and then when he was injured, when we got hurt, they fell all the way to the play-in and lost in the play-in. So like, this Hornets team is dangerous. And Detroit, I just obviously I respect Detroit and I have them winning in the series. I have them going to the conference finals, but this is something that I'm like, hey, watch out for the Hornets because the Hornets in the second half of the year they've been one of the best teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
So you have to take them seriously.
And as great as Detroit is, man, it's really been incredible. They won 60 games.
Yeah, they
Uh,
have, and they played well with Arcade.
yeah, they did. That was kind of a worry. That was
That
like,
was
well,
that
of
was a shock for me. And shout out to my boy Danish Jenkins, St. John's.
course.
That's our guy. So I really like the Pistons team. I'm taking them. I'm taking them. And they have playoff experience too. This isn't like, oh, they came out of
Right.
nowhere.
Yeah, yeah,
So
of
this
course.
isn't even like the Spurs, where like the Spurs, weren't a playoff team and now they're the 2 seed. Like this is a team that was in the playoffs last year, totally could have beat the Knicks. Um,
Well,
well,
it's-
I
it
shouldn't
was
say totally could have beat the
they gave
Knicks.
him a tough series. They
Every
really was.
game was
Yeah.
close.
Hmm.
So when
I
I
give you
say that, that's what I
that.
meant.
I give you that.
Because they won in 6 games, but at game 6, Brunson hit the game winner, to send them
Very
there.
true.
So
Very
it was
true.
every game was tight. They felt like they totally could have been in that series. So give me the Pistons, but I have them in 6, and that's just a respect level to how I see Charlotte. I think Charlotte's going to be tough as hell to beat in some games. I think they're just going to make a lot of shots, and I think they play really fast. And
Hmm.
those guys play with hella confidence, man, and they're playing with nothing to lose. They're like, I can't believe we're here. I think the Pistons have the pressure in that series. So give me the Pistons, but give me them in 6.
Okay. Yeah, I have the Pistons in 5. I
hmm
I do agree everything. I really like Charlotte. Love the way they play. I just think I'm just giving a little more respect, I guess, to the Pistons defense because they did play a couple nights ago,
Yeah.
and it was everything you expect, back and forth, Hornets shooting, Hornets offense, and then it got to a point Pistons slowed everything down and they just grinded them to a halt and they ended up blowing them out in about a quarter and a half. I think that's just what the Pistons have been all year.
Yeah, like I said, we both got Detroit in the series. Mine was just more of a respect level to Detroit and for Charlotte. And it could be like Detroit's up 3-1 and then Charlotte wins and then it's three. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
kind of similar
true.
to what Knicks Pistons was last year. But let me talk about so now let's talk about Celtics. I have Celtics 76ers. I assume you do too.
Yeah.
Um, I thought about sweep here, but I do think like the Celtics like there's always a game where they just don't make a three. They just don't make threes that game.
Yeah.
And then that's the game they lose. So give me the Celtics in five. I just think the Celtics are better. I think Philly, I assume Embiid would be dinged up or not play, in games. And they got Paul George. I guess he's back, but you know,
Yeah, I feel you.
Maxi can play. We obviously love Maxi,
Yeah.
but I think he's going to struggle at times with the Celtics' ability on defense. But I just I just think Boston's better.
Yeah, I feel you. Philly, Philly, they're gonna probably be without Joel Embiid. I saw OG Anunoby had appendectomy the year of the Raptors title. He ended up missing the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
So
So
how Embiid, how if he comes back at all, will be interesting
yeah.
to see. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Still have, the rest of this week, and then the series would start most likely next week,
hmm
the weekend. So we'll see if he's back.
I
But
had a
I'm
big
with you.
I had a big fight on Twitter with somebody saying that I thought Cam Thomas was better than Quentin Grimes, and I'll admit defeat. Yeah, you were right, person.
He said Quentin Grimes was better.
Well, yeah, and I was like, nah, Cam Thomas easily, and then Quentin Grimes is employed, so
That's one.
I'll just move on. Cam Thomas, look in the mirror. That's all I'll say.
Quentin
Save your
Grimes
career.
is one of the casualties of the Tibbs Knicks era. He fell
Yeah.
through the cracks.
Which is so weird because it feels like he would totally be a great fit for Tibbs, but he doesn't like to play young guys, man.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and
like to play
and,
young
and to be
guys.
fair, Quentin Grimes more consistent offensively now than he was on the Knicks.
Yes, he was not. It was so weird. He just wasn't
Um,
consistent.
yeah, so but he'd be very
Speaking
interesting. This
speaking of the Knicks, let's talk about, in my opinion, the second most interesting series,
of course.
Knicks Hawks. Now, I know Knicks fans are upset that they're playing Atlanta. Um, if you think you're a championship contender, you shouldn't be afraid of anybody. That's number one. Number two, the
I
Knicks
don't think
also
it's
just
fair.
beat Atlanta,
Yeah, we did.
you
It's
know,
a close game.
and it was a close game, but it was at Atlanta.
Hmm.
And what was the difference in that game? Jalen Brunson made some big shots. That's kind of how I see the series going. Chippy, I see it going 6 games. A buddy of mine who's also a Knicks fan also thinks that. Obviously, a Knicks fan would have preferred to play Toronto because I think the Knicks would have swept Toronto. They've just handled Toronto all year. I also am not just a big believer in this Toronto team. But as far as Atlanta goes, they're a very different team without Trae Young. They're not going to be able to exploit people as much defensively as they would and say picking on Trae Young. CJ McCollum's been playing very well for them. And yeah, they're annoying, but I think the Knicks are just better at the end of the day. But it is a dangerous series for them. Like I'm not taking them with like the biggest of confidence. I just don't think the Knicks have earned that confidence.
Yeah, this is obviously very frustrating. I don't think it's a fear necessarily. Yeah, Atlanta definitely is better than Toronto. I just think the Knicks fans, me, for once just wanted a first round series where it was like, no worries, right?
You know what's
As long as the
you know
Knicks play decent, they'll win.
yeah, yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case because we've seen what the Knicks could look like at their worst, and that is a team that will lose to Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
If the Knicks play the way they've played over the past several weeks, where they've been very solid, of beating good teams, and of being who they're supposed to, they should beat this Atlanta Hawks team in six. But the Hawks are just an annoying team. They've been really good, can defend. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's had an incredible year, bet on himself, was kind of the sixth man in the Wolves for the Wolves, now is a starter
Mhm.
with real offensive responsibility.
This is such a bad look for Trae Young. It really is.
It's
It's such a bad
terrible.
look. They, they
It's
they are
terrible.
they are so much better without him. And like if you're a Wizards fan, are you even
It's
excited? It's like so that number one. Number two, like Atlanta doesn't have to win this series. Their pick is with New Orleans. They're gonna get the New Orleans pick. They got a really good shot at getting a
Jeez.
good player this year.
One of the worst
They're
trades.
still kind of young. People didn't really expect them to be. They traded Trae Young. Like the people didn't really expect them to like be here after the Trae Young trade. It felt like,
Right.
and then like I think people thought they get better, but even as far as how they've played well, I don't think
Traded
people
Porzingis
expected
too.
anything. Yeah, exactly. Porzingis. It just seemed like this was what their original plan was wasn't working, and now it's like they're moving. But then like the Knicks, on the other hand, like if they lose this series, it's a complete disaster. It's a complete disaster.
100%.
And Atlanta thinks they're just as good, if not better than them. Like that's Atlanta's like, we could beat these guys. They're not that great. And the Knicks are like, we're better, obviously, but like they also in the back of their mind, like we gotta win. I need to we need Mikal Bridges to stand
Boy.
up. I thought his postseason performances last year were as fluky as can be. And he's going to have to prove me wrong because this is a second straight season where he is underwhelmed. It's really his third straight season of underwhelming basketball in the regular
Oh,
season.
you're saying his last season as a net.
Yeah,
Right,
his
because
last season as a
he kind of
net.
like quiet quit on you guys, right? He was
Yeah, exactly. Last season as a net. Last year with the Knicks. This year with the Knicks. It's been underwhelming each year. And prove to people that you could do what you did last year again, even though I thought it was the flukiest thing. But you go ahead.
yeah. I mean, it's sad to say that almost everything you said about Michael Bridges is true. Like, that's just, I mean, it's just,
I'm glad you're a Knicks fan that's able to admit it.
it just really is. Like, there are games where he comes out, he'll score a couple points. I'm like, all right, Michael Bridges involved, and then you won't hear his name again all game.
Yep.
He's not a great on-ball defender. He's a good help defender, gets deflections, gets steals. But if you task him to stop someone, he's not going to stop that person. Unless it's Brandon Ingram. That's the one guy he's gave a lot of trouble to, which is why I wanted Toronto. But
The most frustrating thing is that he made an all NBA defensive team the year the Suns made the finals. And
he
that has,
became in second defensive player of the
yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, or I don't know if yeah, I don't know that information, but he did make, that's the only time he's done that, by the way. And number two, like he's long and lengthy. You know what he's like, honestly, as a defender? It's kind of like the DeJounte Murray thing. Where like when DeJounte Murray came into the league, he was an outstanding defender.
Yeah,
He was like one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And then he got like a bit of an offensive game, and then he stopped caring about defense. And now he's not as good of a defender. But he's at least a bulldog, and you can tell
yeah,
when DeJounte Murray's on the floor.
yeah, for
You
sure.
can't do that with Bridges. So I'm fascinated to watch him in this postseason. I will be keeping a very close eye on that man. And you know what? Stephen A is getting a lot of hate. And I know Knick fans don't like Stephen A. I get it. He's right about Mikal Bridges. He's right. And just because he has said things like Hartenstein and stuff like that, and you can make fun of him and you can make fun of the fact that he's always been like, very critical of the Knicks and saying you can say all that. He is 100% right about Mikal Bridges. 100%. They need more from him. It's that simple.
And
He doesn't say he's a scrub because he's not a
right.
scrub. They need more. That's all he's saying. And he's right that it handicapped them.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like Michael Bridges is a good player. It's just like
Yeah.
get yourself involved. Like
Yeah.
it's tough. But
We've
I
talked
do
about it ad nauseum, but yeah.
obviously, and this will be pretty big playoff run for the Knicks. Obviously, we'll get to
We'll get to
talk
the
about pressure.
thing,
Yeah,
pressure and stuff,
but
because
I do want to say this because I feel like I have to say this. There's conversations of whether this Knicks team was better than they were last year. A lot of Mike Brown, Tibbs, back and forth. I think definitively in multiple aspects, this team has been better. It hasn't presented itself in the record more or less because I think they won two more games than they did last year.
Hmm.
Um, but aside from winning like the NBA Cup, which was cool when it happened, um, this was team last year that struggled against good teams. They were 12 and 22 against teams that were above 500 last year. They were 27 and 22 this year. They still lost 22 games, but they won 27, which means there was just a lot more better teams this year. Uh,
Hmm.
which you can say, a lot of conversation about East versus West and stuff like that.
Hmm.
They're a better three-point shooting team. As of Sunday, they were a top five offense and a top five defense. So the defense is better, the offense is better. They run more offense than they did last year. In the playoffs, they had a 44% organized offense percentage, which is pretty poor. Less than half of your offense is run plays. This year so far, that's 62%, which is much better.
All you're saying right now is how I thought their run was incredibly fluky last year.
I mean, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I thought they had no business being in that conference finals compared to the Celt. Like I just thought the Celtics, and I'm talking about like last, because you're throwing a bunch of like regular season numbers and stuff, and you're right. This is why I thought they were going to get smoked by the Celtics last year in the regular
right,
season. I just
yeah,
didn't think they were that great.
yeah. So that's why I thought that.
Yes.
I was getting
So
ready to have to talk about that. Like, the Celtics demolished us, and this
yeah,
core we spent all this money on
to beat the
isn't good enough.
Celtics.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so that playoff run saved a lot, and we're just they're gonna have to replicate it because you're right. They did look better against better teams this year. They beat the Spurs, who are a 60 plus win team.
Twice. Beat them twice. And
Exactly, beat them twice. They competed pretty good with the Thunder. The Thunder weren't. They didn't have
Jalen
excuse me. They didn't
Williams.
have Jay Will,
Yeah.
but they competed well.
Beat
Um,
Denver both times.
yeah, they always play Denver well. So I agree with you. Um, However, they did get smoked by the Pistons.
Yeah, that
And
is the
I
one
do
thing.
think the Celtics, like, I think they're out for blood. So, you know, I would pick them versus Cleveland. Um, but they're probably not going to play Cleveland. So it's like we're gonna have to find out.
Uh,
So let's just get into this because what team did you have the most pressure on in the postseason?
it's the Knicks. It
It's
is.
the Knicks.
It
So
has
I,
to be.
I also had this. We could talk about this just a little bit. If they do not, and then we'll get into the Cavs Raptors, but just because we're going to talk about this, the Knicks easily have, in my opinion, the most pressure. I think Cleveland is probably the second, and then obviously the Thunder. If you're a champion, like whatever. But
Yeah, if they want to establish themselves as like a dynasty, possibly be the first
yes,
team to repeat in 8 years,
and
that's the
the
pressure. But
the reason why I have the Knicks at the number one is because I think if Cleveland has a disappointing exit, they have outs. There's players on the team that other teams would want. If they wanted to rebuild or retool, I think they can do so relatively easily. Um, the Knicks, on the other hand, can't do that. They have went all in on this Bridges Towns thing. Now, do I think they can get Giannis in the summer? I do. I actually do think they can get him. But it's going to
yeah, I
be
think there's a way.
very difficult,
Yeah,
and I just don't know if it makes them better. Like that's they're at that point. Like if it was a couple years ago, um and they didn't do these Bridges trade. They didn't do the Bridges trade in particular. But let's just say they didn't do the Bridges and Towns deal. They had all the assets. They could pair Brunson and Giannis and OG and still have the depth surrounding that duo that would in my opinion be good enough to compete for a championship. Now it's going to be Brunson, Giannis, and then I don't know what it's going to be after that.
yeah,
I would assume Bridges and Towns are gone. I would assume they try to keep OG, but who knows, man? It's really hard to make that trade work to where you are not completely tearing your team apart. And for me, all that does is increase your window of competitiveness. And I think there's a very real possibility. I think Brunson is better than what Dame was when Dame came to the Bucks. but Brunson's a little guard, man. And there's a very good chance that that's replicated in a way. Because Giannis hasn't been healthy in the
Yeah.
last few years. And if we're being really honest about Giannis, man, he has been he's had an underwhelming season basically every single season that wasn't 2021. Just go back and look. He's had underwhelming playoff exits each and every year, basically. This year they didn't even make the playoffs. He's been either injured in them, he's came up short in them. I think you can give him a little bit of a pass with the Celtics series because he didn't have Middleton, but they were up 3 games to 2 in that series.
Right.
They had a
Yeah.
shot, and let's be honest, man. We know that Nets team was better than that Bucks team in 21. We know they
I
were.
know this is a
Still
spot for
credit.
you.
No, still credit to him. Still
Not
credit to
yet.
him. He got it done.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're
It's a big
going
what if.
to go all in as like, oh, we definitely know for sure that if we pair Giannis and Brunson, we're winning a championship. I don't think that's going to be the case. You have to assume Giannis is healthy there. And then if Giannis isn't healthy, you basically have Brunson and a thin ass roster at that point. So I just don't know
Yeah.
if it's, but that's a desperation move, even though you're getting Giannis. That's why the pressure's on them. Honestly, I would probably say Giannis probably goes to the Knicks. I think what other team is going to do the assets? I have no idea. Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, there's the side they're like, all right, the Knicks, they say they beat the Hawks, they get Boston in the second round, find a way to beat them again. And like, let's say either Detroit shows cracks or maybe they somehow lose to Cleveland in the second round. I don't think they will, but somehow
Yeah.
that happens and they do get to the finals. That happens, whoever they place in the West, they play in the West. Then you say, okay, maybe you can make small changes to this team some way or another, but you keep the core's made the finals.
Yeah.
If they don't, which has kind of been, right, the expectation has been to make the finals, right? Made the conference finals last year,
Hmm.
albeit because of Boston kind of imploding on themselves. You played well enough, you made it. There's no Indiana. Indiana's been the one team to beat the Knicks twice in a row in the playoffs. No Indiana, but you somehow lose to Boston or you lose to Detroit in, not dramatic fashion. What do you do, right? The Giannis thing is going to be there. The Giannis situation has gone so bad because it should have ended months ago,
Yeah.
but neither side wants to look like the person that called the quits. I think it's and the season Giannis has had has kind of lowered his value a little bit, right? He's 31, right?
He's been injured too. Like
Can't
those
stay
calf,
healthy.
listen, the calf injuries, and you know how he plays. Is
Hmm.
that not an Achilles waiting to happen in some eyes? If I was GM, it's the first thing I'm thinking about. Is that Giannis does some explosive move and he just tears his Achilles. And then
Right.
how does he come back at that point? That's a year and a half. He's 30, I think he's 31, or he
Yeah.
will be.
Hmm.
Then you're talking about 33-year-old Giannis, who's probably lost a little bit of athleticism, can't really shoot. And then it's like he also, when he was healthy, what did he do besides in the years other than 2021? It's like these are valid concerns.
Yeah.
That's enough. I don't want to let's talk about the easily the most least interesting.
Oh man, I forgot we didn't even talk about
I
Cleveland
don't know if
Toronto.
it's least interesting, but Cavs Raptors. The
This
Raptors, I think, have the season series, but those games are kind of irrelevant because they happened
it was
before
early in the
Cleveland.
year. Yeah.
Early in the year, it's when Toronto got off to a good start, and it's when Cleveland, uh, Garland wasn't playing, and
It looked like it
Harden
was
wasn't on
falling
the team.
apart,
Exactly,
honestly.
and Harden wasn't on the team. They're a much better team with Harden. I have Cavs in 5. I have no faith in this Raptors team. Could they push it to 6? Sure, but give me Cleveland. I think Harden is going to be really good at the non-aggressive parts of the game,
Yes.
and
That's a good way to put it.
Harden is good in first round series, and
Yeah,
he's also really good in games 1 through 5.
I would say one through
So,
four. Once it gets to five,
well,
six,
I think he in game 5, I think he had a game-winning shot versus the
yeah, but
Celtics.
he has notoriously
Yes,
bad game sixes
yes.
in elimination games.
Exactly. And sevens. So 1 through 5, give me Cleveland. I think Cleveland wins this relatively easily. Gentleman's sweep, I would say.
Yeah, t Toronto. It's a weird team. Credit to them. They won 46 games. Like
Yeah,
that's
you
all.
know what, Toronto, this isn't really a I didn't expect Toronto to be in the playoffs.
I
And the
thought
fact
they'd
that
be
they
in the.
have a
I thought
playoff
they'd be like
team,
in the play-in
yeah,
uh,
like I thought that would be
area.
kind of like exactly the plan. So
Which to be fair is only like 2 wins less. But it's just Ingram, Barnes, Barrett, quickly, and like those are guys obviously I love, right? Former Knicks, right? They
yeah.
have a special place in all Knicks fans' hearts. It's just a weird fit with all of them. They're not a good enough shooting team. They don't have a lot of size. Um, you know,
I also think they just have like a really low ceiling as a basketball team. I just don't see
yeah,
like what player on this team is making the gigantic leap. It seems like the way this Raptors team gets better is if they make a trade for a guy who could take them farther. Because right now it just seems like they're just good
they
and
have a bunch of really good players, but no
exactly
great players.
guys that are tradable, I think,
Right.
and you can make a move. Say if like Giannis wanted to go to Toronto, I mean that would be something
That would be
you could
something.
do.
That
But
is
he doesn't want to go to Toronto. So
something.
there's, I think that's the situation they
Yeah,
find
but
themselves in.
but I agree. Cleveland's been a much better team with Harden. He's done wonders for Allen and Mobley. Has made their jobs a lot easier on the
Yeah.
offensive end. Him and Donovan Mitchell, have fit pretty good together. Donovan Mitchell's used to playing with another guard, Garland, and Harden is better than Garland today, right?
Yes.
I think at the time it was a little
100%.
confusing. Everyone was like, "Oh, but Garland's much younger, Harden's much older." But
Yeah.
but this year, going into next year probably as well, which is where Cleveland is kind of operating their second apron team.
What player has the most pressure in the playoffs? For me, is Donovan Mitchell. He's been in the playoffs each and every year.
Very
Every
true.
year of his career, he's made
Yeah,
the playoffs. He's never made the conference finals. Not always has been his fault. But if he has all his horses, he's got enough. If they beat Toronto and they go head to head versus Detroit, he has enough. He has enough to get it done.
I think.
And if he
Yeah,
doesn't, we're going to have to start looking at him like, what are you? Like, are you
yeah,
the number one
yeah.
on a
Exactly.
team or are
Yeah.
you the number two on
What's
a team? And I think the answer clearly is he's a number two at that point. And then how good of he is he as a number two? Does he need to be the number one on a team? You know?
yeah? A lot of questions come up.
So who are your finals picks? I don't feel great about my East pick, man.
Who's your East pick? Boston.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
I don't feel great about it.
it's just like I feel like there's just been an assumption once Tatum came back. It's like, all right, they're the best team in the East, right? Like, are we sure? Like Tatum, I watched they played without Brown the other night when they played the Knicks, and it was actually a close game. But
Yeah.
Tatum just doesn't look like Tatum quite yet, and like
Yeah.
that's expected, right? He's only 10 months removed from tearing his Achilles. Like most guys, it takes a full year and then some to look the same. Like KD was away for like 500 days before
Oh,
because he missed the whole season. Then they came back that following season, and then he looked pretty good, right?
yeah.
Tatum came back so quickly, you could tell the explosion's not there, the burst isn't there, and like he's already had trouble with his jump shot
Yeah.
prior to the injury. So it's really like your faith in Jaylen Brown, and then like a bunch of the younger guys they have coming off their bench, like
Yeah.
Kata and Shireman and stuff like that. So like
Hmm.
I don't really like I'm not there to think that they're the best team in the East.
Yeah.
Like I think if the Knicks play them, I think the Knicks can very well beat them again, and they should beat them.
Hmm.
So like it really to me comes down between Detroit and New York, which is very tough, obviously because
Well,
they
okay.
embarrassed us in the regular season.
I yeah. I honestly like I don't feel great about the Celtics only because like I think it's weird to just throw Tatum into what they were doing. I think it's hard to make that into a finals run. But I don't have them winning the finals. I have Thunder Celtics. Celtics played the Thunder pretty good
They did.
recently.
I think they beat them a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and so I got the Thunder in six. I just trust Boston probably more than anybody in the East. I think that, like I said, I think nine times out of ten last year the Celtics beat the Knicks. I think even like when Tatum got the Knicks didn't win last year because Tatum got hurt, but when Tatum got hurt, it was the end of that series.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to happen again. And I think the Celtics are better equipped to play without Tatum. And I mean, what they did was impressive. Joe Mazzulla, man, has been really a great coach this year, but he did coach two of the worst fourth quarters I've ever seen in the playoffs last year. I'm just gonna just go with my gut and be like, that doesn't happen again. If the Celtics and Knicks play again, I know the Knicks beat them the other day without Jaylen Brown, but just give me. I just in my gut, I just think Boston's just better. It's
I
your
do,
finals pick.
I do also have the Thunder. I know, like, if
Thunder
they,
Knicks.
hold hold on. I was gonna say that I think the Thunder will make the finals again. I know a lot of people are like, if the Spurs and Thunder play, a lot of people are gonna take the Spurs because of how they played them in the regular season.
Yeah,
But that youth makes me just a little apprehensive to
yeah.
taking them to beat a team that's been there and done it. Um, so I have the Thunder in the finals. Like the East side, I was thinking like, last year the Pacers made the finals. No one
Mm-hmm.
really expected that.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, I feel like now is expecting the Celtics to get through, or maybe some people are thinking the Knicks. What if Detroit just is for real?
Yeah, no, I think Detroit is. Yeah, maybe.
Like, just that defense is good enough. Cade has his,
Yeah.
coming out party to being a full-fledged superstar. He's been great all year.
Mm-hmm.
So like I see like my gut like is telling me Thunder Pistons. And I know that's very easy, like they're the two number one seeds.
That'd be
But
cool.
and it'd be an interesting series, not a very sexy one
So
for people.
you don't have the Knicks going to the finals.
I mean, like I'd be elated, obviously. And if it's anyone except the Thunder, I think we could legitimately win the title
Yeah.
because we've played well against everyone else. If it's the Thunder are just very good.
Yeah.
But I think the best team all year is going to be the best team in the playoffs. Better, yes.
Exactly. Dan, thanks for talking to me, doing the playoffs. Yeah, we're gonna talk more as the year goes on. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, James, for joining.